Outlaws sicked. Just another asterisk thole bar in Columbus, Georgia. One of many, I might add. Not that I was an expert. No, Christian Kozik wasn't much on the party scene. This college student struggled to meet friends, much less find girls who wanted to talk to me. I had no wingman after all. No one to go out with. No support. But yet here I was again. Like a buzzard drawn to a fresh corpse, my thirsty self ended up at Outlaws. The Saturday night fever, a welcome break from my loneliness and horror movie binging. What can I say? Being a bored college kid at Columbus State didn't leave me many options. Not when I was this much of a loser. The sad thing was there was a confidence waiting to break out. A glory beneath my rusty armor. I wasn't traditionally handsome. I was too skinny and not tall. My spiked brown hair would have brought out my bright eyes if not for the oversized glasses. But I doubt it mattered much. Not when I'd gotten told I looked like a creep both in person and on the dating apps. I guess I had a creepy smile. So helpless to this unfair game, I had to pay to get into the clubs. Pay top dollar for my *TTY beer. And then pay in my pride as I stood in a corner and watched everyone else have a great time. I don't know. I guess those few successes were what brought me back. Unfortunately for me, those lottery tickets were few and far between. I couldn't keep up with the more swole and sexier guys. Didn't have the abs or ass of those chiseled all-Americans. And to top it all off, I hated country music. Tonight, I was striking out like a blind baseball batter. Both here and on Bumble. Even on a Saturday night, Outlaws was dead. Then again, we were well past midnight. Most everyone had found their friend for the night. I figured at this rate my best bet would be sexting on Reddit. Always a last resort for these lonely nights. Gripping my Miller Lite, I stumbled along the wooden floor. The glowing lights and incessant music induced madness. The overwhelming cigarette smoke formed a fog I had to navigate through. On the walls, cowboy hats and fake bullheads taunted me. The spacious saloon nothing more than a maze of bars and drunk stragglers. The fourth beer went right through me. As did the Taco Bell I had earlier. I burst into the men's room. Clinical lighting illuminated the stained sink and wet floor tile. None of the 3 stalls appeared occupied. To my relief, I had the place to myself. Behind me, the door slammed shut. I stood there in silence. The honky-tonk soundtrack now reduced to a distant beat. I checked my look in the mirror. Through the glass, I could see the 3 stalls lined up, waiting for me. I was drunk as hell, sure, but I looked nice tonight. My hair a mess, my polo and jeans on point. Then again, I hadn't met many people here. Just 2 girls. Pretty unusual for a Saturday night. I forced a smile. The confidence boost, a desperate attempt to salvage the night. Especially for whatever I could find on Reddit later. With intoxicated glee, I hurled my long neck in the trash. Trudged up to the first stall, kicking up water everywhere. Then I pulled open the door. The long creak blared over the muffled music. I stumbled inside. Like the closing of a heavy iron gate, the stall door's sudden slam startled me. Chickling, I locked it and got to work. Glad to not hear anyone else barge inside the room. The stall was a sanctuary for my shit. Literally. Soon, my eyes drifted from my phone to the second stall. And then I saw the shoes. 2 pairs of them. My drunk smile grew bigger. Goofier. What the fuck? I muttered. Leaning in closer, I got a better look at the brown boots and pair of white Nikes. These guys had been there all along. And yet I hadn't heard a sound. I still didn't. I couldn't suppress my laughter. Call me an idiot, but I knew those guys were in there for either blow or blowjobs. Maybe even both. Covering my grin, I couldn't help but wonder how these dudes were so quiet. They must have been experts. And this whole time, their shoes hadn't moved at all. Without warning, the music cut out. The country playlist now gone with the wind. But I didn't pay attention. Not when I had other things on my mind. Ready to get to my apartment for sexting, I turned my focus to the metal toilet paper dispenser. And then the real horror set in. OF*CK. My southern accent cried. There was nothing for me. Like a ransacked wallet, the empty dispenser dashed my hopes, my spirit. Nothing but rust was on the roll holder. God damn it, I muttered. Now I knew I was really gonna be self-conscious. Not to mention be stepping lightly. I looked toward the stall wall, toward the two gentlemen seated beside me. Maybe the third stall was unoccupied. Hopefully, at least. I stood up. To my relief, I heard nothing plop down to the toilet's sturdy depths. Cautious, I slid on my boxers and jeans. Did my damnedest to keep those boxers loose. All around me the smell was nauseous. The stench sudden and stinky. I was too worried to even steal a glance at the damage I'd done. Only later did I plan on checking that Taco Bell-sponsored pile. After I nabbed whatever toilet paper or wipes I could find, moving slower than a burglar on the prowl, I tiptoed my way back to the bathroom. Long steps through the puddles. By now, silence suffocated me. I heard nothing. No country music, no crowds. Only my own burgeoning anxiety in this claustrophobic bathroom. I set my sights on the third stall, until the floor tiles' water got thicker, deeper, an outlaw's ocean. Startled, I stopped and looked down. The dark puddle stared back at me. A dark red pool. Innies shifted from my stomach to my soul. I turned to face the second stall. There were those shoes, and a long crimson trail flowing beneath them. If I hadn't just used the toilet, I'd have shit myself right then and there. Out of fear. Out of panic. "Hey," I said in a trembling voice. Relying on drunk adrenaline, I reached toward the stall. "Are y'all okay?" The Miller lights helped me open the door in one quick pull. And then I instantly wished I hadn't. There were two men in there, both of them still kneeling by the toilet. A dash of white powder sprinkled across the metal dispenser, and moist red stains scattered over the snow. The guys looked to be your average outlaws, all Americans. White country jocks in tight jeans and even tighter Hollister's. But I couldn't be sure, especially considering all the blood covering their skin, and the fact their heads were missing. Rather than eyes, all I got was two severed necks. Like a grisly volcano, blood still boiled out of the mangled flesh. So many slices surrounded their throats. Horrified, I saw these were prolonged decapitations. Nothing quick or clean about them. The red trail ran down the men's clothes, built up beneath their flawless shoes. They now wore club clothes of the dead. I was alone after all. Through the massacre, I saw a white light at the end of the gore. TP. A clean roll hung on the dispenser, somehow unscathed by all the bloodshed. Drunk desperation overtook the sudden shock. My priorities won out. Nervous, I staggered inside the stall, my feet splashing through the blood. My steps were quick. I stayed unfazed even when I felt the boxers stick to my skin. Stick to whatever shit I had left. The closer I got, the worse the smell grew. A combo of death and diarrhea. Channeling a gymnast, I reached over the corpses. Straining, I extended as far as I could. A clumsy attempt to grab the toilet paper. Then I locked eyes with the two men. Stuffed into the toilet were their severed heads. Their wide eyes stared back at me. Their bloodied bits of flesh floated in the water like terrifying turds. The scare sent me stumbling back. "OF*CK!" I yelled. Kicking up blood, I fell against the bathroom wall. Outlaw's gory exhibit still lurked before me. The headless corpses. The blood. And I stayed scared shitless. "Fuck," I muttered. Trembling, I forced myself back to the mirror. My frightened reflection greeted me, all while I heard nothing. The club felt void of life. The stalls were still behind me, including that slaughterhouse in stall number 2. Fighting the dread, I turned on the sink's hot water. Blood shot out in a sickening shower. Crimson spurted everywhere, coating my clothes in redness. The blood still warm, still fresh. My fear hit its boiling point. "Oh God!" I yelled as I jumped back. The sink kept spurting blood, splashing onto the counter. The floor. Outlaws was finally getting a much-needed redecoration. Behind frantic eyes, I faced the mirror, looked on at my helpless horror, and the vicious scene surrounding me. The mirror glass now showed me more than just blood. The third stall was wide open.